People have been asking me for months. They're saying, hey, Sam, when's the Tesla Model 3 Performance coming? When's the Highland version? I've ordered, I want it. I know it's going to have not Plaid power, but Plaid motors. That's apparently the word. 2 Plaid motors. When the hell is it coming? Because I'm so eager to get one. We finally have a date on the Model 3 Highland Performance, which we might as well call the Plaid Lite. I'm calling it Model 3 Plaid Lite. I think that makes actually more sense than Highland Performance. Anyway, what do you think? Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. It's great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. And I just want to issue a challenge here to people. I made a video just yesterday showing people what happened to my house. It's in Melbourne, in Victoria, in Australia. It's actually got a link to the address. The address of the house is 6 to 8 Ramage Road, Mount Dandenong. So R-A-M-A-G-E, Mount Dandenong. Now, a few people accused me of lying about the fact that someone destroyed a lot of my house with a chainsaw and spray paint. So what I'd like to issue to you guys who say that I wasn't telling the truth is, well, one, you've seen the photos exist of it happening. But two, if you still think those photos are somehow photoshopped or faked, go to that house. I've just given the address, 6 to 8 Ramage Road, Mount Dandenong. You can get a friend to go there if you don't live there. Call someone and go to all the neighbours' houses and knock on all their doors and ask them what happened. Because I'm sure they'll be willing to tell you because they were who told me. I had no idea what had happened. In fact, the neighbours called me up and said, Sam, you're aware that your house is being destroyed. Of course, then the police got involved, but that was a whole other story. So anyway, if you don't believe me, do that. I mean, please do that. And then you can, basically shut up and stop saying that I'm lying about things when that's really, I find that really insulting that people would say that. Now, anyway, getting back to the Model 3 Plaid. The Model 3 Plaid hasn't yet technically been unveiled. Now, we know it's going to look like the Model 3 Highland. We've seen Tesla testing the Model 3 Performance, the new version of the Model 3 Performance in America. I've seen, there was actually some video clips a few months ago, about 3 months ago, of a Tesla Model 3 being tested, and it had a diffuser on it, and everyone was saying, why would Tesla have a diffuser on a Model 3? This is ridiculous. What is Tesla thinking? This is insanity. I found that all very amusing because it was obviously the Model 3 Performance. I mean, you don't put a diffuser on a traditional standard just a sedan. It doesn't make sense. So it was the Model 3 Performance or the Model 3 Plaid that Tesla had been working on. The reason for the diffuser, I believe there was one at the front and one at the rear. So Tesla had been working on this version of the Model 3 for quite some time. But I believe it's ramping up production of the Model S Plaid motors or the Model X Plaid motors, same thing. Basically ramping production of those up in order to put those into Model 3s. And of course, there's already been a lot of orders for the Model 3 Highland coming from Europe, coming from quite a number of places around Europe. Because the other reason that that's happening is because Tesla actually cancelled existing Model 3 Performance orders, or they said, hey, you know what? You're not going to get it until next year. Do you want to keep your order? And people could keep their order if they wanted to get the new version, but they weren't told what they would be getting. But now they have been. The global reveal in September showed kind of an idea of what the Highland would be. So we saw some of the changes, the suspension improvements. You're going to get all those changes. But the biggest change here between the Model 3 Performance or the new version of the Performance and the old version is simply the power increase. There's going to be a significant power increase because the Plaid motors, I believe there's going to be 2 motors. The Plaid is a 3-motor vehicle, but instead Tesla will apparently use 2 motors for the Plaid instead of 3. So it'll be a dual motor instead of a tri-motor. That will still mean, though, there'll be a pretty significant power increase. So when is it actually coming and how much power will the Model 3 Plaid have? Apparently, first deliveries will happen around the second quarter of next year. So different people in different European countries have been given different dates. Some people have been given a date of March. They're the earliest deliveries we've seen. March of 2024 is the earliest dates we've seen. I've even heard of it possibly coming out in March in the United States as well. That's a rumor that's getting around. And the latest delivery dates are July of 2024. So depending on where you live, what country you're in, how far back your order is, it could take up until July. Now, if you place an order today, it could be even longer than that. I believe that there's quite a number of orders Tesla are going to have to fill. And of course, Tesla will have to fill those orders with vehicles coming from China because the Model 3 Performance that goes to Europe does actually come from China. Now, screenshots from Model 3 Performance buyers have delivery estimates from March and as late as July. This is significant because Tesla closed orders for the Model 3 Performance when it launched the Model 3 Highland. And Tesla wants to complete orders of the outdated Model 3 Performance by giving people an idea of when they're going to get their car so that they don't feel like they're getting screwed over. They're going to have to wait forever. Is there ever going to be a Model 3 Performance? Well, Tesla are basically confirming that, saying yes, there will be. Now, we don't actually know exactly when the vehicle will come out in the United States, but I actually think the Model 3 Performance or the Model 3 Plaid will come out in the US before it will elsewhere. Now, I know we have dates for Europe. I think even some Australians have just gotten dates as well for the Model 3 Performance. These are Australians who ordered the old version, and then Tesla said, we can't fulfill those orders, but we can give you the new version. And apparently they've been given dates around the second quarter of next year as well. However, apparently the new version will have two motors instead of the tri-motor setup on the Model X and the Plaid. So that would mean the horsepower would be around about 650 horsepower, meaning probably an increase of about 100 horsepower versus the previous model. And the previous model had about 400 kilowatt, probably around 550, 560, 70 horsepower. So maybe about an 80 to 100 horsepower increase. We don't know exactly what the figure will be. However, this will obviously result in a faster car. And I think Tesla is saying, you know what? There is an EV6 GT from Kia. There's a Mustang Mach-E GT. There's a range now. There's a Hyundai Ioniq 5N. There's a lot of fast EVs coming out. And we want to differentiate the Model 3. Now, the Model 3 Performance is it's slightly bit faster than those vehicles I just mentioned. But I think Tesla wants to say, let's up the ante. Let's make it faster again. Thus the reason for using the Plaid motors. I'm actually pretty excited about this car because this could make it the fastest car for the money. Now, currently the fastest car in most countries in the world for the money you pay is the Model 3 long range, not the Performance, because the Performance actually doesn't have a lot more power than long range. And of course, you can pay extra, a software feature, a couple of $1,000s to get more power in your Model 3 long range, which actually puts it to give it nearly as much power as the Model 3 Performance. But if Tesla do as what we've been hearing, which is give it the Plaid motors, that would completely change the game. This could be a very fast, almost a scary fast car. But either way, guys, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. It's taking a while. I'm guessing it's taking a while because Tesla are trying to make sure they put a lot of effort into getting this car right. But what are your thoughts on this? Is this something that interests you? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching.